Hello, everybody. This is Craig Renti, host of the world's greatest licensing podcast. Thanks for joining us, everyone. And I am really happy today to be joined by Drew Slocum, Chief Strategy Officer and co-founder of Inspect Point, the fire, also the host of his own podcast. Sorry, it can't be the world's greatest podcast, Drew, but there can only be one of those.
That's
The
right.
Fire Protection Podcast. Drew, welcome to the show.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Craig. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, it's fun to be a guest once in a while, right?
Yes, yes. No one's asked me to be a guest yet, so I'm just going to do enough until someone says, "Hey, maybe we want him on our show too." So you never
Yeah,
know.
right.
But Drew, why don't you, if you wouldn't mind, just sort of give our audience a little background on yourself and sort of, your journey.
Yeah, appreciate that. And thanks for having me on and all that. So I've been in this niche thing called the fire protection industry ever since I graduated college about 22, I think it'll be 22 years in January. Um, So I started with essentially a Fortune 500 company, Tyco at the time, Tyco International, which is now Johnson Controls. Started right out of school with them doing industrial engineering and kind of got into this. They were manufacturing this thing called a Tyco dry pipe valve, right? Didn't really know what it did, knew how to make it, and it kind of introduced me to this industry of fire protection. So it's protecting people, it's protecting buildings, it's protecting property, right? Where we're all sitting, there's some type of fire protection, or there should be, right? You have smoke detectors, fire alarm systems, extinguishers, sprinkler systems if you're
Yep.
in a commercial building. Um, so those are life safety, right? It's this cool industry, and I know one of your employees is that's how I kind of got on here, right?
Hmm.
I've known him for pretty much my whole career, and he's in fire
And we,
protection as well. Yeah.
we went to college together. That's how we met.
Oh,
Yeah.
no way. Oh, wow.
Yes. It was my college roommate.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. Um, I got a story for that in a second. Back to college, but anyway, so I worked my way throughout the fire protection industry for about 10 or so years and worked for the competitor, moved around the country, then moved to New York City. Was a territory manager, territory sales manager for them, selling products essentially,
Mm.
to the contracting community. And in that time, had friends I went to college with, and we were in the same fraternity together, and we had this kind of, I had a customer, but they were also friends with them. So it was like, hey, we have this idea to create essentially a workflow, a software
Hmm.
workflow for the recurring revenue business, right? Where, you know, no matter what contracting business they're in, if you have installations of houses and buildings and anything install, right? Building buildings. But if you can get the recurring revenue of being in that building once a year or every quarter to maintain the equipment, there's
Hmm.
high value to that recurring revenue, right? Whether it's
Yes.
um, whether it's HVAC, whether it's pest control, whether it's landscaping, right?
Right.
Fire protection is also in that. The good part about fire protection is we call it codified, right? It is required per the the state and local codes, right?
Yep.
You have to do it. HVAC, yeah, if your air conditioner shuts off, who cares, right? But for fire, it's actually mandated. So anyway, I was in the fire protection industry, knew these guys from Pat, Phil, and Jen from college days, and we kind of threw our heads together. I had the avenue of the market, and they were great at software, right?
Mhm.
So we put our heads together about 10 years ago. It's kind of crazy. It's been that long. And yeah, created an app and a workflow for the contractors and facilities within this industry.
So many of that, what you just said, I'm sort of thinking about the software industry in general. And one thing is, I didn't go to college with people smart enough to create apps, so I just didn't have it. Not in my major. But when you were thinking about I think everybody's got a story, right? So I just think about, as I was prepping for this, um, when my son was probably 4 months old, I was on a business trip and wife calls me up and first thing she says is, "We're all okay." And I'm like, "What?" And it wasn't a fire, it wasn't smoke, but the carbon monoxide detectors went off
Ah,
in the
wow.
house. And she immediately got out of the house and the
Yep.
fire department came and they're like, "Good thing you had those because this would have
Right.
been a really bad situation,
Yep.
and we had a 4 or 5 months old kid." So,
Wow.
yeah, so I think everybody's got that story
Oh
and you're
yeah.
right. It's a commercial. So your platform that you have, is there any residential? Like, is it just for contractors or do homeowners? Is there like some features or functions that folks like me can use, or is it really business to business sort of functionality?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, it's mostly it's definitely B2B.
Mhm.
There's an industry out there that just performs and you have to kind of be licensed and performing maintenance on this equipment. Now for the extinguisher end, extinguishers pretty basic. You have to do monthly checks on them, right? If you're a business or you should be doing that in your house too. Now, you're not going to probably buy our software for that, but if you own I don't know, 50 condos or 50 apartment buildings or even 10 apartment buildings, it's actually a pretty good way to maintain that. Um, but yeah, it's definitely B2B. There's, these commercial companies. Now they
Mhm.
do residential, they'll do townhomes and apartment buildings. So there's an avenue for that, but it's mainly B2B because there's a market for it there and there's the whole licensing component around it too.
And you have, so you're supposed to check your fire extinguishers once, like we've been here
Once a
7 years.
month.
I've never checked my fire extinguisher. I guess I should do that.
Are you in an office building?
No, 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 I'm at home.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you got to, yeah. Fire extinguishers have to be serviced they have to be inspected once a year. Actually, they have to be looked at once a month, honestly. So you got to make sure that the gauge is still green, essentially.
All
There's a
right.
couple of,
Thank you. Look at
some,
I need a
yeah, yeah,
checklist. The gauge is
yeah,
green.
yeah.
All right. I'm going to go do
Gauge
that
is
now.
green, nothing's broken on it. It's accessible. Nothing's blocking it, right? I know that doesn't happen in the house a lot, but definitely in the commercial space.
Right.
But then every 6 to 12 years, it has to be tested. So a lot of people just throw them out, get a new one.
Right.
Um,
I
but
was literally, as you were saying that, I'm thinking I'm just going to get new ones. It's
yeah,
like, it's been
and
8 years.
smoke detectors in your house. I mean, it's NFPA, which is the big standard nonprofit association that kind of manages a lot of our codes. I think every time the clocks change, right, they say, hey,
Yes.
test your smoke detectors. Now, a lot of the new ones like Google and the Google Nest and stuff like that, they automatically test themselves, which is kind of cool.
So and I wasn't going to talk about this, but you brought it up, so I'm going to talk about the Google Nest. So I
Yeah.
want you to. So when you think about the Internet of Things and all the stuff they want to put in your house, like Echo Dots and lights and all, I think it's all a waste, except for the Nest, like smoke
Hmm.
detectors, and probably we have an alarm in the basement if it senses water, like
Yep.
those kinds of things. So I got an email from Google saying, "Hey, your nests are 10 years old. You need to get some new nests, but we don't make them anymore. We're getting out of that business." Like I'm like, this is like the best product ever. That Google Nest, and they recommended, some other company to do that. Like, why would like I'm just wondering, is that like a liability issue? Did they not make enough money on that? But I would think Google Nest would be an amazing product for folks to have. And they test every month. It beeps and everything in the house beeps and the dogs get really nervous. But I know it's working.
You know what? I didn't even know that. I Googled. No, they still have CO and smoke alarms. Yeah, that still has them.
They're
And
not they're
also,
not manufacturing them anymore. They're getting out of that business. Oh, well,
Interesting.
that's the email I got from Google this week.
Oh, I see what they've partnered with First Alert, which is the
That's who they
actual
said, First Alert.
company. Yeah,
Yes.
so they're partnered. So the IoT hub will still work, but they're
Yes.
probably getting out of manufacture. And I get the reason for that because it's not their lane, right?
Mhm.
And hey, if they have an issue, there's probably some pretty heavy litigation.
Yes.
If a smoke
That's
detector
where
doesn't
my
work or
mind
if there's a
went.
recall.
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
someone sued
So
them over their house went down and this thing didn't go off. And
yeah.
but I love that, we probably have 10 of them in the house, just all linked together. And I think from a fire protection standpoint, that is the way to go. If you've got the infrastructure for it, I don't see why
Yep.
you wouldn't have something that if you're out at dinner or something and something bad happens, you find out immediately.
Oh yeah, yeah, you find out. And yeah, it's great. There's some IoT technology that's great around the home, and there's other stuff that's, you know,
Oh, it's
just flashy.
having my washing machine connect to the internet is probably not something I need.
Yeah, they're your refrigerator, I think the
Right.
refrigerators do it now and they detect, what if you're running out of milk or something. I'm like, how's it going to detect that?
Exactly. So I wanted to, we have we use this metaphor when we're trying to sell our services that we have two businesses. We have the firefighter business and the fire marshal business, meaning our fighter business is you're in an active audit. Like the vendor, a software vendor, a SaaS provider is claiming you owe them millions of dollars and they've got evidence and you need some defense, like house is on fire.
Right.
And we've got this fire marshal business, which is let's go. And I say this all the time. We're going to check the smoke detectors. We're going to look, the virtual smoke detector, make sure you're in compliance. How many licenses do you have? And it seems to me that people will spend money on fires, obviously, but it's really hard to get them thinking about preventing, in my case, software licensing problems, right? They're really focused on putting out fires and focusing on whatever. Now, the interesting thing that you said is your business is built on safety codes. Like people have
Hmm.
to do this, right? They don't have a choice. Like in my industry, most companies don't think about compliance until it's a problem, right? So,
Right.
um, what is it? I mean, I would think not that it's an easier sale, but like if they're not using a platform like yours, how are they doing this? Is it just
Yeah, so
checklists?
we came out 10 years ago. There were a couple players in the market in the software realm, but they were not cloud. So we were cloud day one.
Mhm.
So that was kind of good timing for us. Now a lot of them have converted to the cloud or went out of business in that 10 years. But uh, there's still probably a little over half the market still on antiquated technology like PDF, Excel,
Hmm.
pen and paper, right? There's
Yep.
still pen and paper people out there.
Yes.
Um, so I mean, you can still that's still a legit way to do it. It's just the efficiency gain. Everybody has a smartphone in their hand, right?
Yep.
So why are we having to use a laptop? Why are we having to use a PDF form, right?
Hmm.
When and even on the paper side, when that can all be automated, there's scanning tools. If you need to scan an extinguisher, it'll essentially read everything for you. So, and that's all connected with your ERP and your financial system back in the office to cut down your billing time and generate more recurring revenue.
Right. Now, um, one of the things that I always like to talk about is people's journey to entrepreneurship. And, and when I think about myself, there's a certain part where you're working for somebody else, and every 2 weeks, money shows up in your bank account. And then that doesn't happen anymore. Now you've got to go find people to give you money and then sort of figure out uh, and I think a lot of people stop at this is really good. I've got a good job and I'm happy, and they don't they don't even think about sort of doing something different. I mean,
Mhm.
was that difficult for you to say, I'm going to stop? you sort of taking this guy's money and I'm going to start making my own and doing my own thing? Or were you really confident that we've got something here? Was there like an overlap where you were building the business while you were sort of at your old place? Because for me, there was no overlap. It was like, hey, I'm jumping, and I just did it and sort of thought about it after. I'm always fascinated by other people's journeys and how you got to that spot where you said, I'm going to do this, because that's a big challenge, right? It's a big risk.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. And I was in a working for a pretty well-established manufacturer, had a very stable position,
Hmm.
and started the company. It was kind of like a side project,
Hmm.
right? And it kind of kept growing after I think it was a couple years. I think it was like a couple years after. So I was still doing it as a side project, and then a couple years, it was like, oh, this is like a legit thing, and there's a legit need in the market for it. So it was like, all right, do we jump in? Do we just jump in full into it and
Right.
go after it and really attack the market and be, full entrepreneur? I was really impressed with my wife started a nonprofit. She was in the nonprofit world, or still is in the nonprofit world, and started her own company doing consulting, running
Hmm.
events, and I was really motivated by that.
She's like your
Um,
mentor. She could
yeah,
sort of
she's a
guide you
mentor of
through that
mine.
process.
So yeah, so I kind of got that, Inspect Point, kind of the side project started. She had a really good gig going, and we I made the jump, or we made the jump, right?
Hmm.
And
It's definitely a we, yes, when you're in that,
yeah, definitely we
partnership.
and um I was able to work another non-for-profit side job in the time to help get it up to to just to have some more income coming in.
Mm,
And yeah, it was great. It was a definitely a stretch. And I think the other co-founders were similar to that as well, where they
mm.
kind of were dabbling in their regular jobs. But yeah, it was kind of, we built it on blood, sweat, and tears, bootstrapped. Uh, and then obviously it took off, and
Mm.
we were invested in uh by a PE firm about 4 years ago. So obviously the eyes were on us then, and yeah, it's been a home run since. So
That's a different, you're in a different world, right? When you're bootstrapping and you're on your own, and then now you've got investors. It's there, and
yeah,
there's good and bad with that, right? So obviously it's a platform to grow, which is I
yep.
think why people do it for the most part.
Yeah, and the market was big enough, and it was kind of untapped. So, 50% of the market, there's X amount of places that need us. So, all that went into account when we were coming up with a business plan.
Mm. Now, how has well, just sticking with that, for me, it was 6 months, about 6 months from the the time I opened up shop until like the first dollar came into the bank account. Like, so, you get a little stressed, like this is gonna happen, and then it took a while. How long, when you sort of officially launched, did it start? I mean, were you generating revenue immediately? Were you sort of had to go find
Oh yeah.
clients? Yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah. It
great.
was it was immediate. Yeah, I had a good client base with my
Mm,
current job at the time, and just asked them, like, I was selling a material and be like, hey, what are you using for your inspection and service division? And like, oh, some antiquated method or whatever. I'm like, check this out, right? And we
mm,
kind of use them as MVPs as well.
mm.
When we kind of, first launched the product. And yeah, we blew the doors off of everybody at that point.
That's
So
awesome.
it just started snowballing. But yeah, it was, revenue positive pretty out the, I mean, we were all, it was tough to hire people in the early days, but we definitely made it work.
Good for you. That's great.
Yeah.
And now you also have, in addition to your day job, you've got your own podcast going. How did that come about?
Yeah. Yeah, it's I listen to a lot of podcasts, right? Um, into some comedy podcasts and some,
Mm,
I'm into some golf podcasts and I think it's how long was this? 5 years ago at this point. Um, we were, the our CEO and my other co-founder were just, hey, we should start a podcast and talk about whatever in fire protection. And kind of threw it against the wall and we just started it like it was like this indirect kind of marketing channel. We didn't
mm,
talk about our product at all, right? We talk about the industry and we still do, right? There's some, we bring partners in and it is a little bit more strategic
mm,
these days, but there's, I want to, there's a lot of problems within the industry that we would like to solve or just are out there. So, um, bringing those up in some type of agnostic form, I
mhm.
think was really great. And we're 80, 88 episodes deep,
88,
something like
80,
that.
yeah. Like I said, I just tuned in, so I listened to
Yeah.
a couple of them. So
89
yeah.
comes out next week. So
And you do the monthly.
I try to do them twice a month. That's the goal. I don't think it
Okay.
always happens, but it's whenever we get the guests on. We kind of there was a year or so that it was a little slow, but there's been other words where we'll put out two or three in a month.
Right. 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 Yeah, I'm not a podcast guy, so I don't really listen to many podcasts and um, folks inside the company were like, we got to do one, we got to do one. And it's proved helpful. I was at an Oracle conference and a couple of people like, hey, you're the guy who does that podcast on Oracle. I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
wow, you're the one who listens. Like, what are the
That's
odds?
funny. That's funny. Yeah, there's some listeners that you, you you don't get all the data on the listeners, but they'll randomly reach out to you and like, hey, thanks for having whoever on,
Yes.
because a lot of times you don't get to go to these big conferences all the time. They're expensive to go to and whatever, and that's where you hear a lot of these people and mentors of mine
Mhm.
speak, and to bring them on and actually chat with them, not in a presentation format, but more in a conversational format, I
Mhm.
feel is really beneficial.
Right. And this, going back to sticking with the podcast theme for a second, one of the things that I like about the podcasts is it's original content. Like people can't take it and use it, and you know, in, I've seen that over the years. Um, but speaking of using other people's information, AI, and I know that's been a topic for you. And how is AI getting into your industry and your business and sort of I would think that that would be something very helpful for folks with fire
Yeah,
prevention.
definitely a big help. And I know obviously Oracle's been heavy into this as well. But even in the podcasting side, we actually created our marketing team created. We had an industry report that came out and it's a bunch of data and surveys and stuff. Um, they created a 20-minute podcast that were two people, and then you can go on 11 Labs or wherever,
Hmm.
and it essentially creates a conversation about a document or data, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's I
That's
don't think
interesting.
it's not gonna take over the podcasting side, but it's interesting that AI is like diving in very quickly to that marketing side. And yeah, but AI in general, I think any industry where there's a lot of data and you can teach um, you can teach the agents or the LLMs on a
Hmm.
specific niche. The public LLMs are doing this now, right? And we're heavily code-driven industry. The Unfortunately, the codes are out there in the public, so they're getting pushed into these public LLMs, and they're 90% of the time it's pretty accurate, but there's a 10% chance that they're learning, the public LLMs are learning incorrectly.
Mhm.
um,
Oh, we
and
see that all the time.
hallucinating. Yeah.
We did one of our first podcasts was let's ask ChatGPT some questions about how to respond to an situation. And we're like, wow, that's really bad. Like, 'cause it's just taking the
Mhm.
stuff that's on the vendor's website and just regurgitating it. I was like, that is the worst thing you could possibly do, right? So you really
Yeah.
need to know something about a topic when you start
Hmm.
using those LLMs. So
Yeah.
far, maybe one day it'll be better, but it's
Maybe.
not today.
But I think where it's going is the industry and niche specific. If you can create agents and LLMs closed, semi-closed off, right? They have to
Right.
bring in some public. But if you can make them specific to a specific niche, then they will get really good and
Mhm.
almost better than a human at some point with just chugging through a lot of that data.
Right.
So
Right.
whether it's legal, whether it's code driven, whether it's a lot of just data in general of historical data, if you can plug it in there, I think it's super powerful. And we're diving in deep. We just rolled out an agent, our first AI agent in October. We've got two more coming out early next year, and then probably a couple others after that. So
What
it's
does the
uh
one you just rolled out? What does that do?
it's an inspection assistant. So you know, users use our, contractors and facility managers use our platform to record all these inspections and deficiency data. So they
Mhm.
have multi years and months and of data from the technicians out in the field. So there's a big house of this data. So essentially, it's looking at their inspection that comes in. It could take four plus hours sometimes, and the labor on those technicians is pretty high. They're getting the cost to the contractors are 50 to $100 an hour, right?
Mhm.
So by wasting their time in the field, they get that inspection and essentially it's checking it on historical information, grammar, relevancy, um, against the codes eventually, as well. So are they doing things to the codes, right? Um, So it's doing all those checks. Essentially,
Mhm.
it's an assistant, right? It's not doing the inspection. It's not eliminating any positions, but it's making them a little bit more efficient, get those reports in faster, get those deficiencies and quotes out to the customer, and help the sales team, help the back office team, help the technician know the codes better too. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, it's been we jumped in knee deep in the late spring and haven't looked back.
That's great. That's great. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm it's everywhere in terms of I used some tools yesterday. I was just recording some marketing materials and I had a script and I wrote it all out and I refined it and then I put it in somewhere else. It's, hey, make this sound in this tone and just change the words around a little bit and it helped me do my job better. It probably cut 2 hours out of my day just
Yeah.
by being able to do that.
Yeah.
Um, So, we're always trying to figure out like how does this impact our business, right? Our core
Have
business.
you used it on the legal side yet?
Well, um, the documents we get from our clients are confidential, so I can't just throw them into a big LLM. So I need to have a private way to do that.
Hmm.
But we have experimented with this. So not to get too geeky with contracts, but um, the thing everybody does with AI and contracts is non-disclosure agreements. So it's just
Hmm.
like whenever we talk with a prospective client, first thing they want us to do is sign an NDA. So we just have to read it. It takes 5 minutes. You read it and you sign it, or you object to
Right.
certain things. But we did create a model where we can put these NDAs and it'll give me a, hey, yes, it's good to sign or it's not good to sign, right? So we are
Right.
not that we're ever going to really use that. It saves 5 minutes once a week or something, but and it took us longer to build it than, but
Yep.
it's coming, right? And there are firms out there that will take documentation and you dump it all in there. I know that e-discovery and things like that, and it'll create these reports or generate. So it's there. And I'm part of these contracting organizations and they're either people are really excited about it or really worried about it. right?
Hmm.
Oh my God, this is going to take my job, or oh my God, this is going to make my life easier so I can do fun and interesting and exciting things, right? And it's
Right, right.
probably both of those, both of those are correct, those
Yeah.
worries and fears. And, um, but I don't think it's taking your job for sure. I think it's adding to your business.
Oh no, it's definitely adding, and it's a
Yeah.
huge tool. I there's some industries that are getting disrupted very pretty heavily, and the legal one
Yep.
is exposed right now.
And consulting. I mean, I
Yep,
think it was Deloitte, they got
yep.
busted for submitting some, charging hundreds of thousands of dollars for creating these PowerPoints that sort of had not good information in them. Let's just be very nice about that.
It's funny.
So what is next for Inspect Point, for the podcast? What's the platform going to look like in a couple of years?
I mean, AI's we're still at the infancy of it, right?
Mhm.
Um, and a lot of it has to do with the adoption from the public, right?
Mhm.
ChatGPT came out 3 years ago-ish, and I feel like 80% probably plus of the public, you type something into your browser, you're getting an AI response,
Yes.
right? Um, I think the because of that adoption, because of public, we're a slower industry to move because of the codes and just in our historical nature, it's behind a lot of the other construction trades,
Hmm.
probably because because of the codes and it's life safety, and we have to make sure everything's properly set up. But I think because of the public adopting AI, it will happen faster. So definitely the next couple of years, you're going to see a lot of and not just us, I think in general with the ERPs like Oracle and SAP
Hmm.
and Microsoft, they're it's kind of table stakes on some of these AI tools within that. Now are they all effective? That's where I still need to see that, right? And how effective some of these agents are going to be within these software tools. So
Yep. And we're in the same. We're like we're seeing it, we embrace it. I'm just trying to figure out in our core business how do we use this, right? How do we use this when there's an audit fire that we're trying to put out versus the fire marshal part of our business.
yeah.
Um, and I know we've been talking for a while here, but one and you brought this up. What is the best golf podcast? I'm looking for a good golf podcast, and I'm assuming that means you're a golfer.
Yeah, I play a little bit. Yeah.
When somebody says that, they're like a two handicap.
Do you did some research?
I did not. Are you a two handicap?
I'm actually 2.0. Yeah.
Oh my God,
It's
that's so
funny.
funny.
Yeah.
When you're like me and you're like 13, 14, you're like,
That's
yeah, I
good.
play, but
That's
I'm
still good.
terrible. And you're
Yeah.
just like, I play a little bit. You're like, that guy's a stick. I
What
know.
where do you play in New Jersey?
So we're a member of a club 5 minutes away called Roxitticus in Mendham, New Jersey.
Okay.
So I play way too much golf there.
Yeah, yeah.
And how about yourself?
I'm up in Eastern Connecticut, Stonington. So there's a little country club here, Stonington Country Club. Um, but it's 5 minutes from the house, so it's easy. It's very accessible, plays fast, and there's some other good public ones around here. But podcast wise, I guess it depends on if you want golf news. Golf news, I like Shotgun Starts one. Um, No Laying Up is another one. I think
Okay.
Justin Thomas was just on the other day, PGA guy, and he kind of exposed what happened during the Ryder Cup and all that fiasco.
Right, right.
So that's a pretty good one. And then there's a couple other ones with, I'm into like golf architecture and stuff like that. The Fried Egg's a good one. I guess that's part of the shotgun start, but that gets into like golf course design a little bit more.
Oh my God,
Um,
we're going through that right now at the club with
oh, you are?
designers coming in and
Who's
votes.
coming? Who's going in? Who's going into the club?
Well,
Do you know?
they've talked to Andrew Green.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
I
So
know we're getting
that's
off topic here, but Andrew Green's a top guy. He did a course up in Rhode Island called Wannamoisa and highly, highly
very
ranked
sought after. Yes.
architect. Yes. Yeah, yeah.
And the best name for a golf course designer. When
Yeah,
your
right.
last name, it's
Andrew
like
Green.
Tiger Woods. You're like, wow, Andrew Green. I mean, you can't get a better,
Yeah, I know. It's a good one. Yeah, he's
yes.
great.
Yes, yes. So we're going through all of that right now. But we could do a whole nother podcast on country club life and golf course design and
Yep.
sort of all that. But my goal is to completely transform my golf swing in the next 3 months with very limited practice. we gotta we're putting a little thing in the basement, and we're actually waiting for the town inspectors to come in because they have to check the box that we
What?
have a fire, smoke
Oh, the
detector
windows.
and
Yeah,
the
smoke detector.
windows and
The
the
windows have to be
electrical
rated.
and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're waiting for inspectors right now. So I'm like, I'm living this.
Oh man, it's
But maybe
funny.
we'll do a little home and away. We got to do that. A
Yeah,
little
that'd be
podcast,
fun.
country club. We can do the podcast from the golf course.
Yeah, I've actually done that before. Not here.
Seriously.
It was an early one. Yeah, I had a
All
guest on. I
right.
met him up in Massachusetts, and we did it. We did it right in the restaurant area. Yeah, it's funny.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Well, Drew, thank you so much. Now, if someone wants to get in touch with you, if someone wants to learn about Inspect Point, what's the best way for them to connect?
Yeah, our website is pretty easy, inspectpoint.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Drew Slocum. You just search that. You should probably find me. And the Fire Protection Podcast. That's the podcast. There's a few fire protection podcasts out there now, which is good because we all kind of collaborate. So I've been
Mhm.
on theirs, they've been on mine, and yeah, it's a again, we're in a niche industry, but it's a lot of fun and definitely needed for the public.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for the work, for the platform, for being on the show. And if anybody wants to connect with Drew and you can't find him, you can always connect with me and I'll link you guys up. So Drew,
Great.
thank you very much. You really were the world's greatest podcast guest today, so I appreciate that. I love it. You'll be getting your coffee mug. Uh, in the mail sometime. I
Nice.
don't know when we send those out, but you'll have that. And thank you everybody for listening. If you like this podcast, if you want to hear more, subscribe, join, follow me on LinkedIn, and we'll see you next time on the world's greatest podcast.
Thanks, Craig.